All right. Hi, everyone. We are so excited that you have joined us today for the How to Plan Your Instagram Strategy webinar. My name is Lindsay, and I'm from Planoly's product marketing team, and I'm going to be kicking us off today. As we are having people join us, what we would love for you to do is if you look at the bottom of your screen, awesome, we already have a hi at the bottom of your screen in the chat. We would love to know where you guys are from. So whether you're somewhere here in the United States or elsewhere, definitely let us know. As a note, before you send that message, make sure that it says set to all panelists and attendees. This is just so everybody can see your message in the chat. At the bottom as well, there's also a Q&A box. So at any point during the webinar today, whatever questions you have, drop them in there and we will address them towards the end of the webinar because we're going to have about 15 minutes for a Q&A, which we're really excited about. Awesome. We have so many joining in. This is so exciting. Awesome. And as another note too, this is really great. We encourage conversation throughout the webinar. So definitely have that in the chat. If you do wish to network with one another, which we do recommend as well, we have a Facebook group dedicated for that and a post specifically. So we'll send a link throughout the webinar that you can go to where you can drop in your IG handle as well as your contact information so you can chat there during the webinar as well as after the webinar too. So really great opportunity for that. But I think we can go ahead and get started. So again, welcome everybody. We excitedly have Coco here joining us. She is the face and brand behind A Taste of Coco, which is Austin's top food and travel blog. So the Taste of Coco has actually been featured in so many magazines like the New York Times, as well has worked with over 300 brands on influencer campaigns. Specifically brands like Target. We also have Best Buy and Whole Foods. So really exciting. And today, Coco is going to give us tips and tricks on how to strategically plan our Instagram strategy, as well as talk about her Instagram strategy, and then give us some advice, insight to how agencies work with influencers as well. So a lot going on today in this webinar. And again, we're going to spend about 10 to 15 minutes towards the end answering any questions that you're going to be dropping in that Q&A box. So without further ado, Coco, I'm going to hand it over to you. And again, we're so excited to have you here and very grateful. And let's get started.
Hi, everyone. My name is Coco. My full name is Jane Coe, but I launched A Taste of Coco in 2010. So I'm coming up over a decade now, and it's been a long journey. I realize that's a pretty long time for a blogger slash influencer. I was one of the first bloggers in Austin, Texas, and I was very lucky to start my brand before the city became popular. Austin, Texas became popular around 2014 to 2015, 2014 to 2015. And I mentioned that because I started a lot of my content on where to eat in town. So fine dining, casual restaurants, kid-friendly, fast casual, and then started going into things to do in Austin. And I was very lucky to work very closely with the city's tourism as the city became popular in 2014, 2015, when a lot of big companies like Facebook, Dropbox, Indeed started moving offices here. And we started getting this huge population boom. I think a lot of people from New York and California also visit Austin. And my blog became kind of like the center of attention, if you will, and the go-to for anyone that was visiting, but also people who live here. And I've also self-published a guidebook called Coco's Guide to Austin. It's been a bestseller on Amazon. And I can definitely go into that too if anyone's thinking about launching product. But what we're here to talk about is your influencer marketing strategy and how I do my scheduling. And so Planoly has been a big part of my workflow. I was actually a very early user, early adopter. I've been using them for about 4 to 5 years now. And I kind of want to run through some of my tools, but before I do that, I'm going to go ahead and share my screen. Let's see. That's me. So like I said, I run a Taste of Coco, which is Austin's top food and travel blog that was launched in 2010. I've been featured in a couple of publications that you might have heard of: O Magazine, InStyle, Own TV Network, Tribeza, Austin Monthly, and I've even done a partnership with New York Times. I've been a speaker at a couple of different major conferences like South by Southwest, Texas Conference for Women, and more. Here's a little screenshot of my Instagram that I just took about 5 minutes before hopping on this call. I'm about 400 followers away from 100K. So pretty exciting. If you don't follow me already, I would appreciate and love a hello. Go ahead and send me a DM as well. So I originally started with my blog in 2010, and this is before Instagram was created. And when Instagram was created, I wasn't an early adopter at first. Like, I think I had my personal account from maybe 2012 to 2013. And then I realized that it would be an extension of my blog. Whereas now I feel like it's vice versa. My blog is actually more of an extension of my Instagram, because so many people go to my Instagram figuring out where to eat and things to do in Austin, around Austin, along with other cities that I go to. Does anyone love Reels? Like, I've been a big fan of video content for several years now, and I'm very excited to see the online like everyone getting into videos as well. So I also launched on Reels pretty quickly, I think about half a day after Instagram launched Reels. And I think that's kind of the trick with a lot of these platforms is any new product that they're launching, like TikTok with the videos, on Pinterest, they're really pushing story pins right now, is to jump on that feature as soon as possible, even if the content doesn't look picture perfect. But the point is to jump on as quickly, because the platforms are promoting their newest features to get more users to stay on the platform and to get more users as well. So you can see right here, I've screenshotted. I have had a couple of videos kind of go viral. So one of my biggest ones hit about 500,000. It's on a restaurant here in town that's super Instagrammable called To Coco Mucho. And there's a couple of other ones around Austin and Texas that have all gone over 100K now. And here's also a screenshot of what my feed typically looks like. And you can tell, and I think the feedback that I get a lot from not just agency partners, but even my audience is like, how is your feed so consistent? You're pushing out at least one post a day, if not two, because I'm usually very backlogged with a lot of the trips I'm doing, or I have a lot of sponsored posts. And I try to put like a buffer post, an organic post between each sponsored post. So sometimes I'm posting twice a day. And the secret is truly Planoly. And I'll jump into my Planoly dashboard in a second. And here is a little peek of my website. So like I said, if you are visiting Austin, Texas, chances are if you Google things to do in Austin, best restaurants, best brunches, best happy hours, you will stumble upon my website. And that's really an extension of all the beautiful photography I do. And then I've also been a pretty active user on Pinterest, and you can also pin from Planoly onto Pinterest as well. And so on my Pinterest, I'm reaching about 10 million monthly views a month. So also very curated and also an extension of my blog. And here's my guide to Austin, Texas. It is available on Amazon, called Coco's Guide to Austin. So like Lindsay said, I've worked with over 300 brands in 5 years. It's definitely been a whirlwind. I've worked with brands in every vertical at this point. So travel, CPG, grocery, alcohol, beverage, home, lifestyle, tech, pretty much anything that you might think of. I've probably worked with them. And I think the reason for that is I've had 10 years of a very curated and professional looking feed. And I think when it comes to content creation, a lot of the ad agencies that come back to me, or the brands that come to me, are like, you always create beautiful and authentic imagery and videography that's just very consistent, but it's also been very authentic to your voice all of these years. And something else I want to say, like, as a creator and as an influencer in Austin, I am very tethered and very much in love with my city here in Austin. We actually went through the winter storm in February when almost 1 million people went without power and water for about 3 to 4 days. And I like sharing this story because I think it's a gentle reminder for any of us that are creators or influencers or bloggers to think about the kind of impact that you can have on your community and your audience. And when the winter storm happened, I jumped on stories and said, I raised a fund last year of $15,000 for the restaurant community. we are all going through a winter storm right now. I'm starting this one with $500. Will you guys join me to raise money so we can start reopening restaurants and start providing food to people who haven't had a hot meal in 2 or 3 days? In about a week, we raised $160,000 and provided over 30,000 meals throughout Austin to major hospitals, EMS, warming centers, and low income housing. And that's just something that when I reflect back to everything that's happened in the past years, like you just don't know when your audience will rally with you. And as much as I love producing beautiful content, wearing pretty dresses and going on vacation and telling people where to eat, I think at the end of the day, that is what's most impactful and what is most meaningful to me. And which is why I've been able to keep my brand going for 11 years now, because as a creator, like burnt out is real. So let's talk about burnt out. How do I work 80 to 90 hours a week and travel and shoot constantly, maybe 5 to 7 projects at the same time? And that's just really having a very organized system, but also a toolbox of different tools that I use that keep me going. So those include Google Calendar, the Notes app, Dropbox, and then Planoly. So I'll kind of go through a couple of these. I just want to make sure y'all can see my screen. So every time I go on a trip or if I'm writing up a caption, here's kind of a brief of my to-dos that I need to do is I love using the Notes app. This is really how I streamline any piece of content piece that I'm working on. So Tiny Grocer is a tiny grocery store that just opened. I had a local chef walk me through his favorite things. And so after we did this shoot, I kind of like debrief with myself and I immediately jot everything down that they've said, the owner said. So then I know like I'm probably not going to edit and post this in a week or two after that. And by that time, I would have already forgotten what they said. And so I just kind of keep this very organized with everything I need to do. This is a tourism trip that I did last weekend, and they had me visit 6 barbecue places. So again, there's no way I could remember all of the places and details and what we liked, didn't like, how much money we spent at each place. So again, I kind of debrief with myself and put notes all on here. And I know this looks a little OCD type A, but like I said, at any given time, I'm working on about 5 to 7 projects. And I have like different updates from ad agencies or the brands like, hey, we want to go in this different direction. And so I have to constantly pivot and keep these things in mind. And then the next thing I would talk about is Dropbox. So I have a very organized Dropbox that I use. On a day-to-day basis, I'm constantly uploading to Dropbox, and I'm going to go into list view. So right here is a folder on every restaurant or place I've been to or a hotel or glamping property. And pretty much at the end of every day, and I've had this system for about, I think, 2 years now. And the reason why I created this system was because now that we're all rushing towards video content, and if I'm like, hey, I want to do a weekend guide to things to do around Austin or things to do in Wimberley, there's no way I could go through my iPhone and collect all those pieces of video content. You can't really search for it. But I can like visually remember, okay, I went to this winery, then we went to this restaurant. And so I'll actually pull up the trip that I did a week ago, which already feels so long from now, but it was Stonewall, Texas. And we went to a couple of wineries. So on here, you'll see I've uploaded folders for each winery and all the videos are uploaded into each category. Again, maybe overly organized, but this means that when I start editing, everything like the work is already all ready to go for me to edit, create the video, and then publish to Instagram. I do a lot of sponsored content. So again, same thing. I have a lot of folders, and there's each brand that I work with gets a folder, content is uploaded and dropped into that folder, sent over for approval. Anything that is screenshotted like analytics for the in-feed post or stories are also then all uploaded into each corresponding folder. So speaking of folders, I'm actually going to pull up my hard drive and I'm going to show you guys how I would schedule out my feed. So I went to Utah on a camper van trip about 2 weeks ago, and we went to all of the national parks. If anyone's not been to Utah, I highly, highly recommend it. It was absolutely stunning. lots of natural treasures. So the first stop that we went to was Little Sahara's. And when I edit my content, I edit on Photoshop and I also then drop it back into the original folder. And I also, these are called cropped because I've already cropped them by 4x5, which is the posting dimensions for Instagram. And I will kind of have an idea like, okay, here are the favorite photos I liked. Here's another one that I loved. And what I'll do is after I've done editing, I will drop these into my Planoly. So this is Planoly on desktop. I do use the desktop version about 90% of the time just because I'm editing on Photoshop, I'm writing captions on my computer. So, and it just quickens my process by like 10 times versus me trying to do this on my phone. So what I will do is I'll kind of look through and see like, okay, I really love this photo from Little Sahara's. Go ahead and drag and drop into the platform, into the dashboard, I mean. And while that's uploading, upload as one post. Let's go in here and pick another destination. Let's see, Bonneville Salt Flats. This was also a stunning natural wonder. Let me see. Oh, I don't think I edited those photos yet. Let's do Mystic Hot Springs. This was also very, very beautiful destination. So on here, I think these might be already cropped 4 or 5. Again, already edited. So I'll drag and drop that into the dashboard. Let's do one more. Let's do Bryce National Park. Hit upload as one post. Bryce National Park was also a stunning destination. So here was Bryce National Park. I also color coordinated to the environment. I kind of figured, I was like, I'm going to do a terracotta outfit to match. So we're going to drop that into here. And so, excuse me, I will try every time I edit is to drop content into this dashboard. So that way, when I'm scheduling out my post, I already know what I haven't posted that I probably should post. So for example, here are some photos from Marfa. And this is a trip, I think last October. I did already post a lot of content from this trip, but I didn't post everything because in any given time, I'm shooting thousands and thousands of photos. So if I don't make it a good habit to drop them into my Planoly dashboard, I'm not going to remember to post it later on. So this is also from that same trip. This is the desert in Terralingua, very beautiful photo that my photographer happened to shoot while we were in the desert. I need to remember to post that at some point. But what I love about Planoly is this is how I keep my feed cohesive. So I'm going to go ahead and bring down this photo. And what I do is just drag and drop. This is the same thing if you were on the mobile app, is you would upload content into the dashboard. You would then drag and drop. And this is how I color coordinate. I also love to alternate between a photo of me like facing forward and then maybe a photo of me facing backwards, and to just kind of like break up the feed. So right now, this is what my feed looks like. I've had quite a bit of sponsored content go up, which is why you see so many photos facing forward. And then this one and this one were all organic pieces. So this is how I kind of keep it organized. And what I also love that Planoly did about a couple of months ago is a feature on incorporating reels. So then I can also see like, okay, this is exactly what my feed looks like. Tonight, I'm going to be posting this photo. I haven't inserted the caption, but it is typed up in Dropbox, ready to go. Oh, I think it's because it's going to be an IG reel. That's why I just kind of put a placeholder here, which means the next photo I probably want to do is either something without my face in it. So I could do this brunch photo right here. Or I could do this photo of me facing away. We shot this in New Mexico, and I've been meaning to post this for a while now because we shot this at Natural Springs in New Mexico. And what I also like about this, so you'll see, I don't do a lot of purples in my feed, like not a lot of dark colors. And we shot this beautiful rainbow photo, but it was kind of like threw my feed off a little bit. So actually what I might do to kind of transition out of this color, as you can see from these blocks, is I might end up posting this one here because it kind of breaks up the purples, and then I'm going to gradually transition back to my orangey and yellow hues. So again, drag and drop these down. Go ahead and put that here. And for IG Reels, what Instagram has you do is you will upload the video file, and then you can select a cover image. And so why I also love Planoly is I will use this feature so then I can see what cover image I'm going to use for the IG Reel, so it fits my feed. So I might use this for my reel on Utah, which I can give you guys a peek of that because it's been edited in Rush. And that's how I figure out, like, okay, here's what I'm probably going to use for my cover photo. I also have that caption, I think, tentatively typed up already. Let's do a search for Utah. So I have it named as Zion. So right here, I've already had it typed up. Here were all the highlights of our camper van trip through Utah. I just need to fill in the little intro sentence and add hashtags, but this is pretty much written out. And I use Rush to edit my videos. So I'll show you guys the one on Utah. And if you guys have questions, I'm not looking at the chat box right now, but I will answer questions in about 10 minutes. So feel free to drop questions down there. Oh, looks like this video broke, but here's a little peek of the video piece that I was going to do on Utah. And I think this video file got broken, so I'll have to re-upload that. But this is within the 30-second restriction that Instagram has, but it's just like a quick 30-second guide to my 7-day road trip to Utah, so I can post it on Reels. And I do this for all of my video content. So my Texas tourism barbecue one is also ready to go, also here. So I'll give you guys a little peek of that. And so I do all of my editing for my videos for IG Reels or TikTok all on Rush. I'll edit them here. And then I'm actually going to close out this because I hear my computer slowing down. But I will use Planoly to select a cover photo. But if it's a static image, I will then type things up within the Planoly. And then the most important feature, which is super, super convenient, is you can auto post. So right here, I can put schedule date. Let's say if I wanted to post this photo next Tuesday, my best posting time is generally 9:30, 9:15 p.m. for Central. So I'll hit here. I'll type up whatever caption I have. You can also do tags. So this is a photo of me. So I normally tag myself. This is a photo that was shot at Zilker Botanical Garden. So you can also tag them. And then I would hit save and it would be scheduled. I'm going to go ahead and save this for now. And we're not going to schedule this right now. But this is essentially how I keep track of a lot of content pieces that I have floating around. This is a photo shot last year at Round Top that I eventually want to post. Love this photo of magnolias. It looks like I had started a draft here. I think I probably drafted this like 7 months ago, so I'm not sure. I think these were a list of, unfortunately, restaurants that had closed during lockdown. But you can see here, this is how a lot of bloggers and influencers will color coordinate their feed and kind of alternate between, like this one is of me looking away. Maybe I want to kind of go with, these are more orange, then I can transition to more pinks, but essentially keep my feed organized. And then the other thing that I do through Planoly is also scheduling stories. And so because I do have a website, yesterday was Cinco de Mayo. So I wanted to promote my margarita post. So what I did was the days leading up to this, I added my graphic that I have for margaritas. So I just searched for margaritas. And what I love about this, you guys, is I can go ahead and add the notes or captions. So my hack with this is I will copy my URL for the blog post and I will paste it into the post on Planoly dashboard. So when I push to publish this, it's already copied on my phone, and then I can add it as a hyperlink without having to go search for it. So again, just streamlines my entire editing process. So I can save that. I'm not going to promote that because I just did that yesterday. But what I can go ahead and do is I can do one on Utah, which I've already created all these graphics. So let's do this one, 7-day road trip itinerary to Utah National Parks. Upload one story. I also love this one that I also made. And while that's uploading, we are going to go ahead and grab the URL. This is my full blog post itinerary on all the things that we did, recommendations for packing, where we went on a day-to-day, so you can see the whole route mapped out. So love this graphic because it's very dynamic on showing all the different destinations that we went to, upload as one story. And these are the same graphics that I am uploading to Pinterest as well, which you can do through Planoly. So copy and paste the link there. And then when I access Planoly on my phone, I can push and post to Instagram stories without having to look for all these graphics and look for the URLs. So I'll go ahead and show you, like, this is how I repurpose a lot of my content as well, is again, like trying to work smarter and work, not work harder. So these are the same graphics I'm posting to Pinterest. And I keep my templates all the same, again, for like brand cohesiveness. It's also easy. I can easily make these in Photoshop. That's what I use. So here's that graphic that you guys saw. I just scheduled through Planoly. So this is directing to my blog post, but essentially these are all linking to a corresponding blog post on my blog. So Derby Day, if you're planning a trip to Mexico City, if you're going to Sanibel, Florida, best patios in Austin. So all very organized and cohesive. So I think that was maybe the highlights of what I wanted to talk about on the dashboard. We can maybe hop into Q&A early on if I can figure out how. Okay, here we go. Let's go ahead and do Q&A. Lindsay, what do you think? Do you have any questions?
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, totally. I can kind of pick the top questions here, the ones I've coming in first, and we can go from there. Does that sound good?
Yes, that sounds great.
Yay, awesome. Well, awesome. Perfect. First question for you, Coco, is I know this may be dependent on what partner you're working with, but how long does it generally take you to plan and create a content strategy for a partnership?
Ooh, great question. So like I said, at any given time, I'm working on about 5 to 7 projects. So it just depends. Sometimes some partners will be a month out, and that gives me about a month to kind of muddle over, like, how am I going to shoot this? Do I have any trips coming up? Is it something that can be shot at home? Do I need to order new furniture or decorations to redecorate the room to kind of fit whatever story I'm trying to tell? But generally what I like to do for turnaround is probably a 1-week turnaround. Sometimes some partners, whether shipping gets delayed, sometimes I will be pushed to like a 1 or 2 day turnaround. And so by the time I've gotten the campaign brief, I will immediately start kind of brainstorming, like, okay, what's the vision? Where am I going to shoot this? What am I going to wear? What is it going to be? A static image? Is it going to be a video? Do I have to go to multiple locations? And the reason why I have to think about all these things beforehand is because I have to schedule time with my videographer and photographer. And we will also strategically try to shoot multiple things during one photo session. So we're not having to like re-coordinate or meet up multiple times a week. So yes.
Awesome. Thanks. Okay, next question. So we have a lot of questions about like what camera you use, everything photography related. So this question is, do you travel with a photographer and do you take pictures with just your iPhone or more of a professional camera? So kind of walk us through what you do.
So I always travel with a photographer. I wouldn't say like it always has to be a professional photographer. Actually, a lot of my friends have gotten pretty good at taking photos. And I think a lot of it is just honestly like I hand them I shoot with a Sony A7 R2. And I'm pretty good about like, hey, I'm going to stand here, just hold the camera, be my human tripod. If I'm wearing a dress, I'm going to say like, hey, I'm going to twirl, just kind of like, just shoot a ton of shots. And I'll take a look at them, maybe have them reshoot a couple more. So yes, I normally, travel with at least someone else, or there's no way I could self shoot. I have used tripod before, but it's kind of like tricky. And I just prefer it's easier when I travel with someone. I would say 90% of the photos that you see on my blog and Instagram are all shot with my Sony A7R2. And then the videos that you see, because I do so much video content, then that's on my iPhone. And I was on the iPhone 11 and then I just switched to 12 recently.
Great. Thank you. Awesome. So the next question that we have here is, ooh, this one is a good one. How flexible are you when you already plan your content and you have to post something that is not part of your schedule? So flexibility here.
Yeah, so having to be very flexible, which is why I honestly like having so many like excess photos in my dashboard, because sometimes last minute a brand will email me and say like, hey, we don't want to go live tonight anymore, or hey, we actually need you to reshoot because the brand didn't like this, or sometimes like I have a sponsored piece scheduled to go tonight, but I haven't heard back from the brand on confirmation. So I will have to scramble. So sometimes these are like an hour out, 30 minutes out. And that's just kind of like the stress of being a creator, is having to pivot quickly and like, okay, I haven't heard from the brand, but I have something else going up tomorrow. So now I have to post something tonight and it's not going to be the sponsored piece, but let me put in like an organic piece of content.
Yeah, absolutely. Perfect. And kind of bouncing off of that, I really like this one. How do you balance creating content that is not only trendy, but still authentic to you and your brand? This is something I really struggle with. I saw a lot of questions like this one.
Yeah. So I think this might be in relation to some of like the TikTok trends. And I know there's um a lot of videos on like different trending concepts or things that people are doing at home, or so I don't really follow any of those. I'm pretty heads down with my content. I'm pretty like tethered to the city of Austin. And so my content 100% revolves around new restaurant openings, or a restaurant that has re-renovated, or the owner redid the menu and they had me come back in. And so that's really like, I would say 70% of my content. And then the other 20 is things to do in Austin. So again, like fun things to do. So I'm kind of keeping an eye like, hey, the weather's starting to warm up. So last weekend I went to Fredericksburg and we went to a couple of wineries, and I was kind of like contemplating like, okay, maybe I need to come back because it rained on this entire trip. And I know people are going to want to go out to Fredericksburg for all these weekends coming up. The same thing with like swimming holes, like kind of thinking like, okay, luckily I have a lot of photos from swimming holes that I shot last year that I never used. So I need to repurpose those and kind of put those in my dashboard in Planoly so I can remember to post those as well. So yeah, I don't really do a lot. I would say like I never do any of the trending videos or concepts that you might see on TikTok and Instagram. So I guess I just don't do that.
Yeah, no, that's great. Great insight. Perfect. And then next one. So, what are three things that I should keep in mind always when creating content with partnerships? So, kind of like three top tips you have when
Yes.
creating content.
Um So for me, I think a lot of it is actually even before creating the content. So I am signed with a talent agency. I've been signed with a talent agency since 2017. And that was like a big change in my business because I knew I hated negotiating contracts. I didn't want to have like all these conversations with agencies and brands. And so for me, I do the first round of vetting. So any brand that I don't want to work with, respectfully decline and say, hey, thank you for reaching out. Unfortunately, this is not a good fit for what's happening like right now, or I'm sorry, like I'm not interested in working together. So for me, like if it's something that I feel like I can't really story tell or a brand that I don't use, or more importantly, I don't like, then I just say no. So I'm not stuck with the headache of like, okay, how do I like present this to my audience? The other thing is like it depends on what I'm going through. Like I've actually turned down like all bathroom product partnerships in the last like couple of years because I honestly just don't have a pretty bathroom in my current home. But in the new home that I'm building that is being like renovated right now, I was actually able to do my first, it was a soap. I was able to do my first soap partnership because of the new bathroom. And so like when they reached out, I was like, yes, actually would love to work together. This is perfect timing. I just renovated bathroom. And this is authentic to my audience because they know that I just renovated or I'm in the middle of renovating right now. So those are things I kind of keep in mind. It's like what is relevant to what I am going through right now, whether it's traveling or what is seasonal, or if I'm like renovating a home, so it's like a home product. And then how do I like present that to my audience in a way that makes sense?
Yeah, absolutely. It's like bringing back that authenticity again. I love it. Great. So next one is, what is your favorite feature from Planoly?
It's definitely the scheduling because I am very much on the go and I have a pretty regimented time that I always post, which is around between 9 to 9:30 p.m. Central Time. And that's just I'm kind of a creature of habit. I've noticed when I don't post during that time, it doesn't do as well. And I also think for my audience, that's usually when they are on their phones, probably on the couch after dinner, they're watching Netflix and they're just scrolling on their phones. Or if the content piece goes live at that time, then they see it the next day.
Awesome. Yeah, no, that's a lifesaver. It's great. Awesome. So next one is, from your experience, is there a type of specific media that drives the most engagement?
Yes. I know there's a lot of influencers and bloggers that do giveaways, and I've also done, I'm sorry, my cat decided he wanted to be part of this conversation now, even though he's been quiet this whole time. Um, I've seen the best way to grow engagement and grow followers is to honestly just produce content that your audience wants to see. And I know this seems like eye roll, like that's such a like a cop out thing to say, but I really genuinely mean this because I've done so many content pieces, and for me, my audience wants to be in the know of like what's new, what's the new restaurant, what's the new thing to do, because what they like being in the know is then they can tell their friends like, oh, you haven't been to this new restaurant, like, well, Coco posted about it 3 days ago and I've already been. And so I see those numbers, especially on new places I go to. So one of my more viral pieces recently was on a new bar that was opening in Austin. um because I have such a big brand name in Austin, a lot of publicists, but also owners will reach out to me before they open, and email me and say like, hey, I know you like having the exclusive. I know you like to shoot on your own. Like, especially with us being in COVID times, a lot of these places will let me come in a week or just on my own so I can shoot the space without anyone in it. And so one of them was in bar, and that video I think got maybe like 20 or 30,000 views, but more importantly, it got over 1,000 shares. And then I think 1,500 like saves, I think. So, and I don't know how many followers I got from that, like maybe 200 or 300, but that was like an organic piece that just converted so well. So I think again, like really understanding what your audience is looking for and giving them what they want.
Amazing. Love that. Awesome. We are going to answer just a couple more questions, but one of them is, I know we touched on this a little bit, but if you can expand, Coco, we would love this. But how far in advance do you plan for planning, photo shoots, editing, and posting? Do you have a team that supports you? So
Yeah.
kind of walk us through that.
So it is overwhelming. I actually have a lot of other things that I'm also involved in, especially since I'm been doing this 11 years. I'm also an active angel investor in companies now. So that's probably like about 30% of my time. So the way I do it is honestly just having a really regimented and strict workflow, which is exactly what I've shown you guys, is I edit on Photoshop. I force upload any videos that I've shot during the day from my iPhone up to Dropbox into coordinating folders. I upload photos into Dropbox folders. Then I move those into my Planoly dashboard. I also use Asana to project manage all the projects I have going on. And then any like captions or notes that I've like gotten from like a trip or a sponsorship piece or a restaurant or bar that I visited, I will write those in my notes. And so I guess like team wise, I do have an agency that manages my contracts, but that's all they manage. Um, I don't have an assistant that answers my emails. I don't have someone who's like editing my photos or videos because I'm like pretty hands-on and I'm not willing to let go of that part of this job because there's so much like change that happens when you work with brands. And that's something that I really want to stress to influencers is if you can learn to edit your content on your own, and this is not an overnight process, like I've perfected, I guess, this whole workflow in the last 11 years, is it's going to help you move so much faster because even though I have a photographer that shoots for me, we always shoot on my camera because no photographer will ever give me a 30-minute turnaround. And sometimes like that's just when I want my content edited. I'm like excited to see it. I want to see it. I need to know if we need to reshoot. Sometimes like we get stuck in a scramble where the brand's like, hey, product's coming to you this morning. Sorry, like shipping got stuck the last 5 days. We need this end of day. And so there's not really a photographer, videographer that's going to give you such a quick turnaround. Or if you have to re-edit the photo because the bottle of alcohol is not the right coloring because my filter makes things more orange. Like no photographer's gonna drop everything and re-edit for you right now. So I do everything on my own aside from my agency that manages my contracts.
Awesome. Great. And we are going to end with one more question for you. And that is, what is your checklist on what you include on an Instagram post?
Yes. So obviously if it's a sponsored piece, then the brand and agency always send like a 10 or 5-page campaign brief that has like all the hashtags, tags, CTA, which is like call outs that they want mentioned. So I'll like follow that to a T and write that out. But if it's for like me for a organic piece, I like listicles. Like that's just how I consume my content. So if it's a restaurant, I like listing out like, hey, here are my favorite dishes. And I've noticed that that's what my audience really likes because they don't want to know just about the place. But when they get there, they want to know like, okay, but what did you order? Like, what did you like? What did you not like? What drink did you enjoy? What did like, because they don't want to make the mistake of ordering something that I didn't like and have a bad experience. And I think that's just kind of like the trust that I've established with my audience.
Absolutely. Well, thank you so much, Coco. We are going to wrap up here. We learned so much information from you today, and we're very grateful. Thank you everyone so much for attending. A couple things before we log out. The first being is make sure you head over to our Facebook group. That's where you can drop in your IG handle as well as your contact information so we can continue the conversation over there as well as network with each other. And then additionally, we are going to send a recording out of this webinar on Monday. So don't worry, you're going to have it in your inboxes so you can review it as many times as you'd like. And go follow Coco on Instagram. Let's definitely get her to 100K followers. That is so exciting. So definitely head over to her Instagram page as well. And again, thank you so much, everybody. And we appreciate you tuning in and have a great day.
Thanks, everyone. Bye.
Bye.